Let's write some more code to change another property, and let's look at a new event, not just a click event. Let's look at some other ones. So this is our program right now, still doing the same things. Let's say that if I put my mouse over this label, and this label is our label message, our message label. Let's say if I put my mouse over this label, I want it to disappear. And so that could mean a couple things. That could mean my visible property could be false. But we've already used visible property, so we could also change the text of this label to make it look like it disappeared. If I erase all the text in my label, it looks like it's disappeared. It looks like there's no label, when in fact the label's still there. It just doesn't have any text in it. So let's do that way because we've already messed with the visible property. So let's change the text property within my program. So let's change a property using an event. So how do I do that? Well, when do I want the event to occur? Well, I want it to occur when I am interacting with the label, this particular label. So I'm going to click on this label, the message label, and I'm going to go to my events tab. And I don't want to click on this label. We've already used click. I'm bored with click. Let's use another one. Let's use the mouse over event. So occurs when the mouse remains stationary inside of the control for an amount of time. Well, so basically once I put my mouse over this label, that is an event. That's the mouse. Is it mouse hover? I think I want to use the mouse enter. Occurs when the mouse enters the visible part of the control. Hover sounds too fancy for me. I don't want to use hover. Mouse enter. So this event occurs when my mouse literally enters any part of my control. So in this label, as soon as my mouse enters the label, we're in business. Whatever code I write is going to happen. Okay, so I got my label selected. I'm going to add a mouse enter by double clicking. And now any line of code I write inside my mouse enter method will happen when I enter with my mouse. So what do I want to do? What was the original problem? I wanted to make this text go away. So the label of my text, back in my properties, the text right now says hello world. Text is a property. I can change this property within my program. And my label's called message. So watch this. Label message dot, and then which property do I want to change? Well, I want to change the text property. And you can see it pops up for me. So I want to set this text property to be equal to some words, and I use quotation marks, and whatever I put inside the quotation marks is what will display. So if I want to display nothing in the label to make it look like it disappeared, I'm not going to put anything inside these quotations. I'm just going to leave it empty because I don't want to show anything. And then of course, don't forget to end your line of code with a nice little semicolon. So if I run my program, and oopsies. Oh, sorry, I forgot what my program did. So I have to click here first. There comes my label. And watch my mouse. As soon as I enter the visible part of this control, my label, oh, it's gone. Because this line of code fired off, because this event happened. I entered the label with my mouse, and as soon as I did that, I set the text to be nothing. So it's gone. But how do I get it back? Because if I click my button, I don't see any text. And I can see my message box if I click that. So how about if I click this button, I want the text to come back. So how do I do that? Well, let's take a look at our code right now. This button click, this click event, is all the code that happens when I click that button. So when I click this button, all this code happens. The only code I have in this event is making the label visible. Because the label starts, the visibility of the label starts as false, it's not visible, and the button makes it visible. That's all the button does, clicking the button does at this point. So what else can I add in here? Well, when I click the button, I want to bring the text back. But keep in mind, the text at this point is empty. There's no text. We erased the text. So can't I just set the text again of my label? So what do I want the label to say? Well, it started off as saying hello world. So if I click the button, I want that text to say hello world again. Now with this line of code added in my click method, watch what happens. So this label, the visible, is false. So when I click it, I'm doing two things now. I'm making the visible property to be true, and I'm also setting the text to be hello world. When I hover my mouse over, boom, this event fires off, and this event erases the text. It replaces the text with nothing. So I click the button again, and this event happens. I set the visibility to be true. Well, it's always true now. But more importantly, I set the text to be hello world. So I can go back and forth between these two events. And I've showcased basically hiding a control in two different ways, through the visible property, and if it's a text property, I can actually just erase the words and fill in an empty string. Pretty cool.